What is up, team? We're back. Today we are working on a 2001 Honda CR250. I will give you a quick back history on this bike, but basically what it's getting today is a new head gasket, and we're gonna flush and fill the coolant system on it and fire it up and see how it runs. It's been setting for a little bit, so we might end up doing a carb clean, but we'll take it as it comes. So stay tuned, this is what we got. I'll give you some specs on the bike and how we got here. All right, guys, this is my 2001 Honda CR250. When I was 18 years old, I bought a 2004 CR250. So it's about 4 years old at the time. Had it for a couple of years, ran it, really liked it. It got stolen. So just went back to riding four-wheelers. Was out at a local track riding with my buddy who had a 2001 Honda CR250. He cased it, came up short on a jump, and racked his ribs off the handlebars. He was pretty adamant that he was busted up, and we all told him to go back to the trailer and have a beer and quit whining. Turns out he had a ruptured spleen, couple of broken ribs, bruised lung, and almost bled to death. Fortunately, we got him to the hospital on time, so tip of the day, team. If you think you're hurt, go get checked out. Don't listen to your idiot buddies. But he was done riding after that, and I got a smoking deal on an 01 CR250. I paid like 800 bucks for it. I rebuilt it. I threw some fresh plastics on it. I'll see if I can find a picture of it and throw it up right now. When my wife and I were getting ready to get married, I didn't want to start off our new marriage with extra debt. So I sold my CR250 and bought her engagement ring. A few years later, I was jonesing for another CR, and I bought a it was either an 88 or 89. I'll have to go back and look, and I'll throw a picture of it up right now. It started off life as kind of a basket case. Ended up doing a bunch of work to it, getting it back together, but it was never really quite what I wanted. I always wanted another 01. So I found this one in Portland, Oregon. The guy wanted like 2,800 bucks for it. I think I got him down to 25. Bought it pretty much the way it sets right now. I have done nothing to it other than services and filter changes, oil changes. Was out riding it earlier this summer and noticed it had a little bit of coolant weeping out of the head. I'll show you that. I think there's still some on the side of the cylinder. Yeah. So we're going to pull the head off it and see how it looks. Hopefully it's just a head gasket and we can get it sealed back up and fire it up. FMF pipe on it, factory reed cage, aftermarket reeds, factory Mikuni carb. A lot of people hate the Mikuni carb. I rejetted it and I changed the nozzle in it. I think they come with a 7 and I went down to a 6, or they come with an 8 and I went down to a 7. I'd have to take the carb apart to actually see. That made the world of difference. They aren't as easy to tune, in my opinion, as the Keans, but this bike runs pretty well. I swapped out and went with the FMF Shorty. Just makes it sound a little snappier, a little crisper. Hopefully we'll get to hear that today. Other than that, guys, it's not a super fancy bike. It is probably my favorite in the stable. I know you see me riding the 125 and the 500 and most of our stuff, but this is probably my favorite all-around bike. I throw a paddle on it. I take it to the dunes. It's not too much bike for me. I am not a super great or super advanced rider. I just really thoroughly enjoy them. So it's not too much bike for me like the 450 was, but it's enough to haul me around as a full-size adult. So I'll throw camera up on the stand and see if I can get in there nice and close, and we'll get into this thing and see what we can do. All right, guys, step one, let's get the coolant drained out of it. I'm not too worried about catching it or keeping it clean because we are going to put some fresh stuff in it. Winter time's coming, and I don't want to end up cracking a cylinder or doing this again next year. So we're going to dump some fresh stuff in it. This bottom bolt on your water pump housing, you'll see it's a little different, and that it has a copper washer behind it. it doesn't look like it's gonna drain much, but as soon as we pop this radiator cap, it'll lose its vacuum and we should be able to drain most of the bike out right here. All right, guys, now that we're down to pretty much a dribble, I want to put that bolt back in. I'll keep us from getting stuff all over the garage floor. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten it right now, otherwise I will forget. And then I'll have a huge water leak the first time I ride it. Let's swap over to the other side. We'll get the top radiator hose off the head and we'll start pulling the nuts and bolts. All right, guys, the space in here is just extremely tight. I tried to show getting that top radiator hose off and I couldn't. My big gorilla hands are just in the way while I'm trying to do stuff. But basically what we're gonna do, loosen the hose clamp on the top of the head. I ran my hose hook, which is what's in the screen right now, around the edge of the hose and then just lifted it off. We'll remove the head stay bolt, this guy right here, and then we'll go around and remove all of our head bolts. I think I'm gonna be able to leave the plug in it. We'll see if I have enough room underneath the tank or not. If I have to, then we'll just pull the plug out, but it's not a huge deal. We'll get the head off. We'll take a look under the head. We can take a look at the cylinder wall. We'll put a fresh gasket in it and top it off with water and see how it does. All right, guys, the head is off. I'll show you in a minute. It's in the parts washer. This bike has definitely previously been experienced a catastrophic failure. Piston looks good, so I'm not worried about that on this go around. There are some scratches on the cylinder wall. I'll have to run the piston back down. I can't push it down with just the tips of my finger. So you can see the cylinder wall. This head stud was clearly replaced at some point. It is in drastically newer condition than all the others. Okay, guys, got the head out of the parts washer. Clearly you can see there's a lot of divots in it. At some point this thing came apart and beat the heck out of this head. That's okay. You can still run them like this as long as the edges aren't raised. If you have raised edges, even if it doesn't contact the piston, they can get like glowing red hot and basically work like a glow plug in a diesel and cause pre-detonation. So you hear a lot of pinging coming out of it. As long as everything's kind of smoothed out like this one is, you're still able to run it. You can throw it back on there and it'll run just fine. And that's exactly what we're gonna do. All right, team, for the cost of $39 for a top-end gasket kit that we only use one gasket out of, and about 20 minutes of work, we saved ourselves a whole bunch of time with the bike being down at a shop and probably a few $100s in labor. So if you're willing to put a little bit of time into it and you have just a few hand tools laying around, you can do these kind of repairs on your own. Don't let it be too intimidating, and get out there and have some fun. Thanks for watching the channel, guys. If you want to join the team, and I think that you do, I highly recommend it. Subscribe to the channel, tune in. We're gonna do some riding videos. I know I keep saying that, but I just keep having projects to work on, but we are gonna do some riding videos and we're gonna get out there and have some fun. So join the team, subscribe, like, hit the notification bell, all the good stuff. And thanks for watching, guys.